a straight white dude that likes Trump but is only into liberal women is a lot like being in the closet, because it's like they're gonna ask you about it eventually, and you have to say what we all say, which is yeah, I don't really follow politics, but like there's levels to this, man. You gotta be discreet.
For some reason, conservative men want to date liberal women despite their claim of only wanting traditional submissive wives. But most liberal women understandably are not interested in dating conservative men because obviously their views do not align. But these men are not taking no for an answer. Instead, what they are choosing to do is to lie to these women and be deceptive when approaching these liberal women, and telling them that either they are not into politics or outright lying that they are liberal themselves. Let's get right into the video.
Levels to this, man. You gotta be discreet. You gotta be...
What he's basically saying is you gotta lie. And you gotta be so good at lying that it becomes second nature. And the reason why I tell people this, right? It's so easy to go online and look up people's voting history and knowing exactly their political position. It's so easy to do that. But also as well as this, right? People's actions and beliefs. Any man, any heterosexual straight white man that says that I don't really follow politics, that alone should tell you everything you need to know. Because the man that does not have a decision or does not have a stance is a man that can be washed away or can be converted to any direction. That's not a man you want. You want a man that has conviction, that has a place and purpose that he's driving towards. If he's a man of the people, he wants people to be able to have rights and women to be able to have their body autonomy and all of these other things. He's going to stand strong on that. If he's a man on the other side where he's a conservative, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. At least you know that's their stance. Any man that tells a liberal woman or anyone in general that he really don't pay attention to politics, I don't really follow it, you know what I'm saying? I just, you know, tap in when it's time to vote for a president, is somebody you shouldn't trust at all in the first place. That's just my opinion on it. Everybody should have a position politically. There's nobody that should be able to say, oh, I don't really follow it. Huh? Something that affects your day-to-day life. That can affect your children's day-to-day life, your parents' day-to-day life, how far your dollar goes on a day-to-day. You don't follow politics. Ladies, please be careful. Please ask the questions. Please go around their friends and see what their friends think. Because, you know, apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Look at the family.
Even if a man truly is politically neutral and does not care about politics, all that tells me about this man is that man does not really care. He does not care about the woman in his life. He does not care about the rights and the interests of the woman in his life. So what makes me think that man will care about me, about my rights, about my interests, when he is not willing to stand for and vote for the rights and the interests of the woman currently in his life? Why on earth will I as a woman want to lay with a man who is not willing to stand for my rights and my interests?
Do you consent to a second date? Do I have a last question? Who did you vote for?
Trump. But with that comes a lot of things.
Heart is broken. I enjoyed my evening with you, but I have to stick to my morals and my principles.
And this is why conservative men are having the toughest time dating right now, because never before has your vote told a woman exactly what she needed to know about you. She doesn't have to wonder if you're a misogynist. You voted for one. She doesn't have to ask you, how do you feel about women's rights, immigration, Medicare, Social Security, free lunch for low-income kids, racism, feminism, without even having to go on a single date with you. You told her everything she needs to know. That's why that woman only needed to hear you answer that question for her to realize it's a hard pass. And a lot of women are giving you men a hard pass for the same reason. Because even if you say, no, I did it because of the economy, what you're saying is profits over people. You're saying even if you have more than enough, you wouldn't dare help somebody who needs it. There's no need to ask him if he's red pill. If you look close enough, you can still see the red dye on his tongue. Well, of course you want the little woman in the kitchen barefoot and pregnant making you biscuits. Forget about using her education or her degree. Like Harrison Butker said, her greatest calling is to be a wife and a mom. She doesn't need a life outside of that. What do you think she is, a man?
I need the Republican men to hop on their burners and give me a quick explanation as to why they won't stick to their own kind. I live in Washington, D.C., and with every new administration comes new people. And one would think with a whole 92% thing and just like the general partisan makeup of this city, very Democratic, one would just assume where I stood. Also, I'm not walking around town in a cheap polyblend suit wearing a cubic zirconian cross around my neck. Those are your people. Those are your girls. But okay, fine. Approach me. One cannot blame you for having taste. When I make it clear where I stand, and then I ask you where you stand, why the beating around the bush? Why the avoidance? And in general, what is the obsession with wanting to date liberal women? Liberal men aren't going after conservative women. Conservative women, does this not piss you off? You don't have liberal men pretending like they voted for Trump in order to get you out on a date, to buy you dinner. Why do conservative men do this? Also, I know this outfit isn't helping anything, but it's a Wednesday afternoon and I work.
So one of my friends was telling me about her dating experiences on the apps and asked me why conservative guys constantly match with her when she's openly liberal on her profile. I did some thinking on it, and I think ultimately it's because conservative men don't believe women. They don't respect women's opinions enough to even think that a woman can tell you what they want or like. That's just the plane of it. And so it's really fucking sad to think about that, they just devalue women's opinions, that they don't think they should even have preferences. It's wild to me.
And it's not just about political preferences. Whenever a woman expresses that she has any dating preference, society and men find a way to vilify that woman and her preference. Be it a height preference, a look preference, a financial preference, they find a way to vilify that woman as either vain or being a gold digger. But when men express their own preferences, somehow society justify their preferences as, oh, that's nature, oh, that's biological. Men's preferences for young, even underage girls is looked at, oh, it's biological preferences because of fertility reasons. Men's preferences for beautiful women is justified with, oh, they want someone that they can be attracted to. Men's preferences are justified, while women's preferences are always vilified in some kind of way.
Why is it that conservative traditional men look for strong, independent women who are progressive and liberal? This is from Trevor Noah's book, Born a Crime. The way my mother always explained it, the traditional man wants a woman to be subservient, but he never falls in love with subservient women. He's attracted to independent women. He's like an exotic bird collector, she said. He only wants a woman who is free because his dream is to put her in a cage. Patriarchy is all about dominance. To dominate something or someone is to fulfill the highest order of patriarchy. To be a man means you have dominated, you've won, you've controlled someone or something. And especially for Christian men who are taught that to save someone, to convert them, to save them from themselves is glorifying God. And most young boys are conditioned to have this dream of saving the damsel in distress. I will save her from the dragon. I will slay the dragon and rescue the princess, and she'll love me forever. And her dragon is herself. I need to change her and save her from her liberal, dangerous ideas. And there's an intersectionality to this too. I mean, patriarchy loves dominance. Christianity loves converting people and changing them, even if it's against their will. White saviorism, whiteness loves saving people. And men just love being above women. They love a woman who needs them, who's dependent on them to be this big, strong man. So instead of finding someone to date and marry that you are compatible with or that you work well with and pair well with, men will go out and find women that they can change. And they need to be incompatible with them so that they can capture them and get them under their rule and control. Which is why you hear these stories of strong, independent women who find themselves, wait, I never wanted to get married. How am I never wanted to have kids. Why do I have, oh my gosh, who is my husband? Why is he listening to Jordan Peterson all the time? It's because he lied to you. Because he needed to dominate you. He needed to win you and convert you to patriarchy, I guess. That's the game that a lot of men are playing. And that's what it means for men to win that game.
Right-wing men don't care about women's opinions. I saw this clip of these guys, these reform dudes, talking about how they're struggling with dating, and everybody in the comments was like, why would they want to date left-wing women if they're right-wing? It's not because they secretly have like a fetish for left-wing women. They just believe that women are supposed to follow them. He doesn't need his partners, the women's political opinions to align with his because he doesn't see her as an intellectual equal or as like someone whose views is going to shape the household. He simply believe that their beliefs are going to prevail and the woman is just going to eventually just fall into line. You'll never see the reverse happening. You will never see like a very conservative woman, reform girl going after predominantly left-wing men because they can't even exhibit attraction towards them. They specifically, right-wing women specifically want right-wing men. They already want to adopt like the submissive position below them. Also, I feel like a lot of right-wing men don't like right-wing women because they exhibit a lot of masculine qualities like being loud, being opinionated. That's not me. I just how I think that they think. Yeah, I don't think it's for some like the way people are framing it is like some weird fetish that they have. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe they do want a free bird and cage it up, but I think they literally just don't care about the women's political opinion. They don't see it of value. They see that eventually they're just going to change your mind.
And it's not just right-wing men. For some reason, society as a whole do not take women's opinions and views seriously. They feel that a woman's opinion and views is fleeting, is something that is changeable. Therefore, that woman is expected to take on the views of the man in her life. Women are expected to take on the views of their fathers while they are not married. And when they get married, they are all of a sudden expected to take on their husband's view. For example, I come from a mixed religious background. My mom's a Christian, my dad's a Muslim. And for some reason, many people do not take my opinions on religion very seriously. They feel that I should just wait and be in limbo spiritually and just wait until I get married, and then I should just take on the religion of my husband when I get married. So you can see that even when it comes to something as personal as religion and faith, women's views and opinions are still not taken seriously.
AKA abusive men, want liberal women.
Something else I think is interesting when we're talking about conservative men wanting liberal women is that, at least while I was growing up, it was proposed to me that liberalism was something that you grew out of. It was like a childish ideology, and as you grew older, you grew less and less out of it. And I personally think it's very, very interesting that these conservative men are so interested in liberal women when it's seen as a childish political ideology. It's just something I think about quite a bit.
What about me screams I like conservative men? I don't think I'm giving it.
Baby, conservative men love progressive women. Love. And it is solely for the purpose of destroying them. It's the chase. It's the can I con her into being with me? Okay, so they're gonna lie is what they're gonna do. They're gonna lie, they're gonna manipulate, they're gonna pull out all the stops, baby. And then they are slowly going to gaslight you and manipulate you into feeling that you are unworthy. And then they are going to say that they're no longer attracted to you, right? Because they're slowly going to drain you of your life force. Just suck it out of you. And then they're going to be like, oh man, that girl over there, she's really hot. And that girl over there looks exactly how you used to look before you got with him. Conservative men love doing the gilded cage with liberal/progressive women. They feel entitled to all of their labor, and they just want to diminish them, demean them, and make them feel less than. That is what conservative men do. They love it. They get off on it. So, if you run into a conservative man, take it from me. Run in the opposite direction, because they will quite literally suck the life from you slowly in a way that you won't even realize it's happening. Okay? It is not worth it. It is not worth it. To the extent that people on these dating apps are just lying and saying that they're not conservative when they really are. So you gotta watch out for all the red flags.
Personally, I feel that these men know what men want. They know that men do not really want that traditional submissive woman. They know that men like that feistiness in a woman. They know that men like that independence in a woman, that self-assurance, that self-esteem in a woman. So they will go for a woman that has that because that's what they themselves want. But when they get her, they don't want her to be attractive to other men. So they temper her down. They try to suck the life force out of her and make her submissive and weak, and to temper that and personality, because they know that that will attract other men and they do not want competition. But now that they have tempered that woman's personality down and that woman is now submissive and traditional, all of a sudden they are no longer attracted to that woman again, because that is not what men are attracted to. Now they will go out there and look for that wild, feral, liberal woman out there. And when they get their new liberal, feral woman, they drain her of her life force and personality, and then they rinse and repeat this pattern over and over again.
The caged bird theory. A lot of the times these men, they'll be attracted to a woman, specifically someone like me, who, because I'm just so amazing, no kidding. Someone who is independent and loves their alone time and has worked on themselves, has an identity and a career, right? And all the things that these men say attracts them to the woman is suddenly the things that they punish them for. And that's exactly what happened to me. It's like you get the bird and you want to cage it. They'll build you up in the beginning, right? I love how independent you are. I love how confident you are. And then suddenly the very same things that they praise you for, they're punishing you for.
Has anyone thought about the fact that a man saying they don't like Donald Trump is probably going to be a lie they use to get women?
Oh girl, they've already been doing that. I've seen a lot of videos of women saying that they're only going to date liberal men or feminist men due to the election, assuming that they're going to be safer. And I speak from personal experience here when I say that's actually not the case, unfortunately. Many manipulative men, or just manipulators and abusers in general, will adopt ideologies that they think will give them more proximity to their victim. They don't actually stand for anything. They just adopt ideologies that they believe will do two things: either give them proximity and access to the victims and the people that they want access to, or to improve their image. Many victims say that their abuser is known in society or in public as being like this great person. My example was my abuser was saying that he was a feminist, that he went to a women's rally with me during Roe v. Wade. I've also heard people say, oh yeah, they're a spiritual guru or a yoga instructor. I'm thinking like a Russell Brand type of character. He will also use like doctrines in the church or spiritual doctrines to say things like, oh, I'm the head of the household, or that a woman must be submissive, so that they can twist that and then later control and abuse you. No ideology a manipulative man aligns himself with will make him inherently safe for women. Really, this is just a PSA that just because someone says that they didn't vote for Trump or they're a feminist, whatever, that doesn't mean that they're necessarily inherently safe and that you should lower your guard, because many manipulative men will say that to gain access to you, and they already have been.
Conservative males intentionally withholding or lying about the fact that they're conservative and intentionally going for liberal women is an extension of rape culture. And I don't understand why people are confused about that. Why would a conservative male go for a liberal woman to conquer her? Because the same way you ask that question, I could ask the question, why would a dude who doesn't want anything serious go for the girl that does and lie and say that he does too, to conquer her? It is all about the flex is being able to finagle and finesse their way into the pants of a woman that, if she knew the full truth, would not want him. It is a lack of consent. Rape culture. Men do it all the time in different ways. Political views is no different. It's the same shit, packaged differently. It is not about, why would you want to be with someone with different political views? Because it's not about the political views. It's about the flex and being able to say that I was able to be a wolf in sheep's clothing and fool this liberal woman into being with me, a conservative man. It's rape culture, babes. Hope that helps.
I personally feel that these men derive more pleasure out of taking a woman's consent, deceiving this woman, manipulating this woman, pulling off one on this woman, more than they derive pleasure from dating this woman or even having sex with this woman. That's why I was not even shocked when I heard that sex doll companies were creating a grape mode. Yes, a mode where men can turn on a switch and then the sex doll will fight and resist. And these men create pleasure from it. These men do not enjoy consensual sex with women. They always want to take something from a woman against her will or without her consent.
Being a straight white dude that likes Trump but is only into liberal women is a lot like being in the closet. Because it's like they're going to ask you about it eventually. And you have to say what we all say, which is, I don't really follow politics. But like deep down, you're like actually like very involved.
The next person to utter the words, pick better men, in my presence is getting slapped. Men already talk amongst each other, locker room talk about how they lie to women in order to get things that they want from them. But now they're openly saying it out loud. Therefore, I don't want to see another person trying to gaslight a woman into thinking that a man's deceptive, slimy, manipulative ways are somehow her fault. But to the conservative men who are actually into liberal women, have y'all ever stopped to ask yourselves why? Could it be because liberal women tend to be more educated statistically and you like that? Could it be that the saying is true, opposites really do attract? Could it be for this reason that this man stated in the video, that liberal women are simply more physically attractive? I mean, I thought the excess mascara on the lid paired with the red lip and the pilgrim fit was doing it for y'all, but I guess not. Or could it be that deep down you know that your views are repulsive to most sane people and you also want the financial assistance that most liberal women provide because you fail to be a provider? Yeah, something tells me it's the last option. But please, keep the videos coming. I am so glad that more men have started telling the truth. I know y'all don't have a lot of practice with it, but honestly, it is so refreshing.
They think these women are losers because they do not respect feminine roles.
Watch this video. I don't think this woman is wrong. I've seen this take a lot, but this isn't the one reason. There are 3 top reasons as to why men want to date liberal women when they say they want traditional. The first is the reason she said. The second is they can't afford a traditional woman. There are not a lot of men making more than $100,000 a year anymore. And that's how much you need to make in order to support a wife and at least 2 children, because you're traditional, so you want a bunch of kids, and you can't afford it. So you need your wife to work, so you can't have that type of relationship. And the third reason is there's just less women who are like that. So the pool is a lot smaller. So they're trying to force the liberal women to act the way they want.
These men simply want to eat their cake and have it. They want a independent, liberal, boss babe kind of woman that is going to do 50-15 with them and bring in half of the household expenses. But they also want to be seen as the leader and the head of the household. They want to be a traditional man on a budget. They want to be a provider traditional man on a budget. And the easiest way they can do this is obviously not to go for a traditional conservative woman, because that woman is more than likely going to want to be a stay-at-home housewife. Rather, what they do is that they go for a independent liberal woman. And they try to convince her to adhere to her own part of the traditional gender roles, while expecting her to contribute financially to the household. These men simply want submissive provider wives.
A little while ago, there was a controversy that kind of blew up where everyone was talking about how conservative men were lying in their dating profiles about either being a conservative or just straight up just being like, oh, I'm apolitical, but that just meant that they were secretly conservative. And everyone was like, why are you lying? Just go find yourself a self-hating pick-me and pick them. They're begging you to pick them. But the thing that I have not been able to stop thinking about is this video of a man that he posted where he explained why he did this. He explained that when he dates conservative women who are out and out conservative, they always expect him to be like the man of the house, and they expect him to like constantly be hyper masculine, and they have these very traditional expectations for the men that they date. But when he was dating liberal women, he never had that sort of expectation for how he should feel or behave or act in the relationship, and he felt much better in those types of relationships. And yet he himself still considered himself to be a conservative. I find this fascinating. It's almost like homeboy ran smack into the point and just kept on running past it. Patriarchy hurts everybody. Misogyny also hurts men. It is insane to me that they don't realize this, even when they outright say it on the internet. I want to date liberal women, so I lie about my conservative views so that I don't date women who want me to be the like alpha dude all the time. That's hello, ding 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 ding.
Even a man is confused as to why conservative men have such an issue with liberal women not wanting them. This guy writes, liberal woman dumps her conservative boyfriend, right-wing men proceed to rage. And he says, hang on, I thought y'all don't care for liberal women, because that's what I thought the fuck too. So essentially this article was inspired by a Reddit subreddit that the author had seen talking about, I'm going to just say T-Daddy supporters, okay? And essentially, someone had asked, has your T-Daddy support cost you in the dating arena? And are you open about your politics in seeking a romantic partner? And he pretty much wrote that they say that they generally do not volunteer such information, but if prompted, they wouldn't lie. Okay, that green screen shit is not for me, so I'm gonna just read the article for y'all. This sentiment was often echoed by other commentators, most of them male, with some adding that politics should not matter in relationships or that compatibility is more than who you vote for. I don't volunteer the info, but I've never lied about my politics on dates, which is stated by Flussages. And then there were those who took a defensive approach, like the glittery cactus, who said they would not even look twice at anyone who made politics their identity, which in my opinion is code for, I do not like people who are overly progressive. If they met a conservative who did the same, they probably would not mind. Swipe, I want nothing to do with women and anyone else who make politics their identity. Fast forward to the present. A video of a liberal woman has gone viral after she shared her story about ending a 5-month relationship with her conservative-leaning boyfriend, all because he would not vote in her favor. And guess who is mad? That's right, it's conservative men. The very type of men who say they do not judge based on politics, and that if women put their politics front and center, they are as good as invisible to them. And yet here we are. I couldn't help but to think back to that post 5 months ago. It makes the inconsistency all more jarring. If conservative men genuinely did not care about liberal women, they wouldn't be getting so triggered. You certainly wouldn't see them posting comments like, liberal women are the most vile, hateful, insufferable, and toxic species on earth. Or, she seems like a foul-mouthed whore, dodged a bullet. And this sort of zany, screaming child should be avoided at all costs. She is guaranteed at least one divorce, even from the cuck liberal husband she eventually finds. Women have the right to leave for whatever reason. It's not just a right reserved for women either. If you are a man and happen to be dating someone whose politics you disagree with, you too can break up with them if you want. Politics for some is so intrinsically tied to their value system, worldview, morals, and interests that it becomes part of their very being. You cannot separate the person from the politics, especially considering the current state of affairs. You have the attack on women's sexual rights, discrimination against minorities, the anti-DEI rhetoric, and the bizarre Trumpian economics that have led to a shrinking economy. These are all political decisions that directly affect women. So if liberal women do not want to fuck, date, or get married to you because you helped elect a party that's against them, then that's their prerogative. Deal with it. I just don't understand why some of you conservative men refuse to get this. Mind you, this is a man that's writing this article. When a man is able to see the flaws in men's logic about them claiming that they're looking for compatibility, meanwhile getting mad at women for ending a relationship because they're not compatible, yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. There is no logic behind that thought process. But moving forward, the lady in the video is not leaving the relationship because she is crazy, woke, or whatever derogatory adjective you can think of. She's leaving because she knows what she wants, and that is a man who is compatible with her politically. If the boyfriend were socially aware, he should have been able to recognize that skirting in the middle would never fly with this girl. After all, isn't the power of discernment and picking the right partner part of being a so-called masculine leader? Something you traditionalists love to proclaim? How are you going to say I'm socially liberal and economically conservative? It's a meaningless statement considering how both cancel each other out. And that's very, very, very important. Are you going to be pro-abortion, but then turn around and say the government should not get involved in facilitating women's sexual health care? You can't have it both ways. Consciously or unconsciously, you eventually will have to pick a side. Most liberal women who are serious about their politics know this and will only see such equivocation as a smokescreen used by men who don't want to be honest about their values. On a more positive note, at least now the boyfriend can find a woman who better aligns with his beliefs. I want to end with a quote from Guy de Maupassant, a 19th century French writer. Marriage to me is not a chain, but an association. I must be free, entirely unfettered in all my actions, my coming and my going. Personally, I want all relationships to reflect Guy de Maupassant's vision, and I know I am not the only one who feels this way, no matter who we vote for. But you cannot get that kind of freedom in your relationship if one or both of you are pulling in opposite directions on things you consider important. All of this relates back to the conquering mindset that men have. You can't conquer somebody that has the same views as you. You can't coerce somebody that has the same views as you. You can't manipulate someone that has the same views as you. That's not conquering because you've already met someone that you're compatible with. They don't get the opportunity to play little games that make them feel like men because they're not doing anything to feel like a man out in the real world. They're not starting a business. They're not becoming a CEO. They're not making a ton of money. They're not leading a group of men to any type of self-improvement or life-changing status. So the only way that they can formulate such type of circumstance is to do it with a woman that is going to be leaning completely opposite politically of where he is, because his dominance and his power is going to come from him convincing and coercing a woman to then take on what his beliefs are, what his morals are, what his values are. And statistically, this is proven with married women. Married women over time do start to lean politically to what their husband's beliefs are. This is all by design because that's what the goal of the male is. They rather take somebody that is not their type, take someone that doesn't have the same morals and values as them, and then use that as an opportunity to assert power, control, and dominance over the other person, because this is the only way in which that man is able to feel powerful. I wouldn't even ask men this question if I was out dating. I would just simply sit back and observe what his response is to certain types of things. Something happening in the news when it comes to women and women's rights. Just knowing how a man feels about women generally is already going to tell you where he leans politically. Because just by asking, they already know that women have a certain type of preference. So of course they're going to lie. Stay safe.
If you have to lie to somebody to get them to date, sleep with, or marry you, that is wrong. That should not just be morally wrong. That should also be legally wrong. There need to be legal consequences for these men lying to these women to get them to either sleep with them, date them, or even marry them. Because these men are taking away these women's consent. These women are not consenting to sex with these men with all their information on ground. These women are not consenting to dating these men knowing fully well that these men are conservative. These women are most especially willingly not consenting to marrying these men, knowing fully well that these men are conservative. And these men are not just taking away this woman's consent. These men are taking away this woman's time, this woman's energy, all the resources these women are putting into that relationship, thinking that they are investing into a relationship with someone with like minds and like opinions and like interests. Thanks for staying to the end of the video. Remember to give it a thumbs up if you found it interesting, and also subscribe to the channel to support me. Also, don't forget to check out the videos in the playlist right here. Bye!